Ydych chi'n medru clywed, David? Can you hear me at all? Yeah, all okay. Okay. Pnawn da pawb, diolch am ymuno ni pnawn ma. Thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon. As you can tell from my voice, I'm a bit nervous here, so if I start gabbling, if I go too fast, just tell me to slow down in the chat, okay? Welcome to the first of 5 STEM Gogledd Network webinars to be held over the school year. My name's Hugh Smith. I'm one of the STEM Gogledd project team and part of the GWER science team with responsibilities for advising schools on developing STEM in the North Wales GWER area. And firstly, for those of you listening today from outside Gwynedd, Conwy and Anglesey, a little bit of info about the project. David's already explained a little bit about it. We're a European Union Welsh Government funded project and are currently working in 25 secondary schools in Gwynedd, Conwy and Anglesey. Project's aiming to signpost and promote STEM careers, apprenticeships and post-16 STEM courses to nearly 500 Key Stage 3 and 4 students in these schools. So on to today's webinar. The purpose of these webinars is to promote STEM development in North Wales schools. As part of these webinars, I'm hoping that we can have time out to meet each other via breakout rooms, to use some time to network and to share good practice and ideas in order to develop a community of STEM practitioners. There's going to be opportunities to meet with representatives of STEM organisations such as ESW, Technocamps, STEM Gogledd. I'm hoping Keith's listening as well, and he's offered this afternoon to do one of them from the Institute of Physics. Also, I'm hoping we're going to get Careers Wales in to talk to you about the new EBE tool, which I'll talk about later on. During the webinar, please feel free to ask any questions in Welsh or English in the chat. David's going to be monitoring that because I can't see it while I'm presenting. Please gofynnwch unrhyw cwestiwn o gwbl yn Cymraeg neu Saesneg drwy'r chat. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi. We'd be grateful if you could please keep your microphones muted if there's to stop any echoing at all, please, or unwanted noises. Okay, so let's start. Okay, main focus of today's first meeting is to introduce a possible framework that can be used to help give a structure to STEM development in schools. The content of the presentation is aimed at STEM teachers and school senior leaders who are interested in developing STEM in their schools, particularly now as planning for the curriculum in Wales, the new curriculum in Wales is taking place. So having a look at the agenda, item 1 is about making the case for STEM development here in North Wales. Item 2 is introducing a possible framework that could be used to develop STEM. Item 3 introduces a STEM support guide which has been written to complement this framework and support STEM teachers in delivering it. Item 4 is about networking, sharing ideas and sharing good practice. And if we've got time, we'll go into the breakout rooms to meet each other. Item 5 is a very short 5-minute feedback survey to gather your views on the framework and to give us feedback about moving forward into developing this. If time gets short, I timed this earlier on this morning and it's about 40-45 minutes long. We won't go into breakouts if it gets too close to 5 o'clock, but this certainly will be a feature of future meetings along with guest speakers coming to talk to you. There's also going to be opportunities this afternoon for you to ask questions as we go through this presentation. So on to item 1, supporting and promoting STEM in North Wales schools. Why do it? Why here? Why now? Okay, why here? Why now? A bit of Fat Boy Slim there. Why is science, technology, engineering, maths so important? Why support and promote these subjects to our students? Okay, to answer this, we're going to need to have a look at the main arguments or reasons for developing STEM in schools here in North Wales. Okay. There's lots of reasons, but in this presentation, I'm going to focus on the 3.
Sorry, Hugh, can I just stop you there? I think we're seeing, we're not seeing your slideshow at the moment. We're seeing just your first page. So if you could start your slideshow, so we'll follow then. So
okay, sorry. Okay, dearie me, typical technology, eh? Okay, so stop sharing. Okay, and share again.
You click on slideshow and present.
Yeah, I can't see it though because it's under the toolbar. I can't get to it. Hang on.
Are you on 2 screens?
Yeah, I'm on 2 screens, yeah. That's fully why.
It might be you're stuck on the other screen.
Okay. Thanks very much indeed. It's not coming up, sorry. Still not showing, is it? It's not showing. Okay, try once again. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, so that's working now. Okay, all okay?
Brilliant, diolch yw.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Is it moving now? Okay,
Yeah.
so everything I've been rabbiting about them for the last 5 minutes. Okay, so here we go then. Okay, so I'll get started. I'll try and catch up. Okay, so been talking about the why here and the why now. Okay, so why are we doing it? Okay, so we're looking at the main arguments now. We're looking at the golden circle there, the why, the how, and the what. Why do it? Okay, so moving on. Okay, there's lots of reasons. Okay, but in this presentation, I'm going to try and focus on the 3 main reasons for promoting STEM here. One's local, the other's national, and the other's international. The first reason is the why now. It's a national, all Wales reason, and it's all about education. That's to do with the introduction of the new curriculum for Wales in 2022. As you know, education in Wales is changing. Schools are working hard, tackling the process of designing their own curriculums. They're going to need to make learning real, relevant, purposeful, and exciting. They're going to need to inspire their learners. Schools are going to need to provide opportunities to their learners to develop the integral skills. Now, I'm going to read these out because they're going to come in later on in the presentation. These skills are creativity, innovation, critical thinking, problem solving, personal effectiveness, planning and organising. Schools will also have a responsibility to develop pupils' cross-curricular skills such as literacy, numeracy and digital competences. The development of these skills will need to be carefully planned for by all areas of learning, not just the STEM subjects. For the first time, careers and work-related experiences, or CURE, will be embedded into teaching. All teachers will need to discuss careers and lessons, and links will need to be made or developed between schools and employers. The opportunities for learners in Wales, if this is done properly, are massive. There's evidence showing that making the work studied more relevant by using careers and employer engagement leads to greater student engagement, and it also helps pupils to make more informed choices about the routes they can take post-16. So there's lots and lots of plus points. However, for this to work properly, teachers will need time to embed jobs and careers into their lessons and their schemes of work, and will need to familiarise themselves with labour market information and trends. Teachers are not Careers Wales trained advisors, yet they will need to develop this expertise. There's a clear need for CPD for teachers here in order to make this a success. Okay, just pause for a few minutes there because you can read that. Okay, so moving on to the second reason. The second reason for developing STEM is the why here, local reason, and it's all to do with the economy of North Wales, and in particular to employment opportunities in this area. Many of you may have heard of the Regional Skills Partnership and the North Wales Economic Ambition Board, but who are these two bodies and what do they do? Well, the Regional Skills Partnership is established by the Welsh Government. Its job is to analyse the region's economic challenges and identify the skills needed in the workforce. Any skills gaps that are identified by employers get reported to the RSP, which the RSP then reports to colleges, schools and other training providers. And this allows the providers to inform their students of opportunities and in some instances adapt their courses. And I can talk about that firsthand because that happened with my son, who's now finished his apprenticeship with Scottish Power, and he got that information via the college. The North Wales Economic Ambition Board is a group made up of representatives from 6 local authorities, the colleges and the universities, and the private and the public sector. They work closely with the Welsh Government and the RSP to encourage business investment in North Wales and the work-related skills in the region. Okay, over the last 5 years, well before COVID, the RSP has identified 8 growth sectors. And the NWAB has signed the North Wales Growth Deal worth £1 billion to this area's economy. Both of these lead to huge employment opportunities in this area. But the RSP has identified serious skill shortages in the workforce here. So there's an urgent need for the schools and colleges here to upskill the students and improve their STEM employability skills. Okay, here's a quick look at the Regional Skills Partnership, 8 growth sectors for North Wales. These are massive. Look at them. Each sector is STEM based. It's got an element of STEM, and each sector has identified huge skill shortages. So the obvious conclusion here is unless we can help upskill our young people, the rate of growth in this area is going to be restricted. Now, what's the third reason? But the third reason is an international reason, and it's to do with equality of participation. Okay, a recent American STEM employment survey has highlighted the concerning issue that only 1 in 4 people working in IT and mathematical professions, and only 1 in 6 working in architecture and engineering careers are women. Several OECD and UNESCO gender research studies similarly indicate that not as many girls as boys go into STEM careers. And those girls that do bypass engineering and computers and tend to favour the biosciences. Girls simply do not participate in many areas of engineering or IT, which is a massive loss of talent. Whether this is due to poor career signposting, lack of information, misconceptions, a lack of confidence, or a lack of female role models that girls can relate to, or maybe other influences, such as the advice given to them by their parents, we don't know. Nevertheless, awareness is rising about the gender gap, and steps can be and are being taken to address this. Schools and participants, sorry, I lost myself there. Okay. Schools and practitioners have a part to play in helping reducing this gap. Ideally, there should be no difference in any STEM career based on gender, race, or social mobility. There's going to be more information about the actions that we can take in schools to try and reduce the gender gap in the 4th webinar in the new year. Okay, so I mentioned the Regional Skills Partnership earlier. Okay, the RSP have got 3 priorities for North Wales, which are shown on this slide. The second priority, this one here, priority 2 here, is about developing employability skills in the area workforce. Priority 3 at the bottom there in amber is about promoting career perception and signposting pathways into employment. Schools and colleges can help the students preparing for the world of work by supporting priorities 2 and 3. So how can colleges and schools do this? Exactly what are employability skills and how can we promote career perceptions and pathways? Okay, so let's talk about these employability skills that the RSP are talking about and which our employers are all desperate to get. Have a look at these. Okay, planning, organising, problem solving, creativity, innovation, critical analysis, teamwork, independent thinking, initiative, communication, numeracy, digital literacy. Most of these are developed in STEM projects, challenges and activities and lessons. But notice they are also the cross-curricular and integral skills we must develop as part of the delivery of the curriculum for Wales from 2022. And there are other workplace interpersonal skills that employers are looking for. And schools can help develop many of these too, particularly if schools take part in STEM projects, competitions and challenges. Virtually all of these, ability to prioritise and task manage, customer handling skills, managing and motivating other staff, persuading or influencing others, sales skills, instructing, teaching or training people, setting objectives for others and resource planning, making speeches or presentations. Virtually all of those could be developed by students doing an ESW sixth form project. Others, such as sales skills, can be developed in the Welsh Back activities. In the next webinar, you'll be able to meet with the ESW organiser for North Wales, Alice. She's an ex-pupil of mine, where she's going to discuss the current activities and projects offered by ESW. Also, going back to that list again, developing the confidence to make speeches or presentations. This one down here, I think it is, there's one of them down here. This one, making speeches or presentations. Couldn't this be done in class after projects or investigations are completed, where pupils get a chance to present what has been learned or found out to their peers? So, taking part in STEM subjects, projects, challenges and competitions is a fantastic way of helping pupils develop these employability skills. And it also helps meet the Regional Skills Partnership priority too. Okay, let's look at the Regional Skills Partnership priority 3, promoting careers, perceptions and pathways. How can schools support this priority? Well, as schools begin to create and develop their own curricula from 2022, one of the cross-cutting themes to the new curriculum is Cwre. So what is Cwre? And how will Cwre help promote careers, perceptions and pathways? Cwre stands for careers and work-related experiences. There are 6 areas of learning and experience in the new curriculum. Every AOLE has its own Cwre career statement and guidance for subject teachers. How Cwre will affect learners and help promote careers and pathways is on the next slide. Okay, I've got to be honest, Careers Wales gave me some help putting this slide together. Now it's trying to show an overview of a student at a school with a good Cwre programme receiving good career signposting at the end of year 11. Okay, as part of Cwre, all teachers will have to discuss the careers associated with the topics that they're teaching. Research has shown that this improves student performance and the work studied becomes more relevant to the student. Students will have to develop a career plan, noting their interests. Careers Wales are currently working on this as an online template for doing this. Students will need to know where they can go to find out more information about a particular career or course and who can help them. Students should understand their personal skill sets and be aware of what they're good at and what types of work that they're interested in. This is important, but equally important is building an understanding of what skills are needed for different jobs and how students could make themselves more employable. Students will need the opportunity to complete work experience, and that's back on now after several years' absence. Students will need to develop an awareness of local and national job opportunities that could match their individual skill sets, interests and bilingual capabilities. How will they develop this knowledge? The pandemic has taught us to realise that sometimes circumstances may necessitate a change in our jobs. For example, the pandemic recently, lots of people moved out of the hospitality region and into other employment, believe it or not, like teaching and NHS, which brought them closer to people during the pandemic. Resilience to employment change through being able to adapt comes from understanding what we're good at doing. I believe that Careers Wales as well, I was listening to a chat the other week, Careers Wales and Welsh Government intend to offer schools a quality award for the quality, range and effectiveness of their Cwre programmes. So watch this space. Okay, so who's going to be responsible for careers signposting in the new curriculum? Generally, this is going to be subject teachers, and this is going to be a big ask as they're not Careers Wales advisors. They've not received any formal training in providing signposting to kids. And this lack of training has been recognised, and therefore from next year, Careers Wales will be offering teachers CPD to help them develop CURE in their subject or AOLE. However, most teachers will already have an awareness of the types of jobs associated with the work that they're teaching, and this can make their teaching more relevant and improve standards. And here's a couple of examples here. If you're a maths teacher and you're doing work on statistics, you could possibly link it to finance, for example, insurance risk management. Pandemic growth also uses statistical analysis, or when you're studying measurement, could you possibly link it to quantity surveying for building companies like Watkin Jones, Anwyl, Wynne, Brenny Construction? Some schools in South Wales and in the Valleys Initiative are already linking up with building societies, such as the Principality, who are putting on teaching sessions in schools and webinars for students. If you're doing chemistry, technology, physics, art and design, history, if you're doing work on metals, could you link it to historical metal extraction in North Wales, for example, copper extraction in Paris Mountain, Beddgelert or the Great Orme, iron extraction in the Conwy Valley, gold in Dolgella? The work could link to batteries, electric cars, battery range, electric motors. It could link to car design, computer-aided design, the automotive industry, for example, careers with Toyota in Deeside. If transport was a theme, then technology could look at microbit programming, for example, the traffic management systems for North Wales Police. The physics of flight could link to Airbus, Babcock in Holyhead, RAF Valley careers. Biology, viruses, vaccine production, linked to AstraZeneca production in Wrexham, or measuring enzyme activities in, say, yeasts, baking bread, alcohol production, hand sanitizers, using Aberfold's Gin, Village Bakery, Wrexham, Wrexham Lager and other microbreweries like our own Cwrw Ogwen in Bethesda. So back to this slide, which you saw earlier, and just to quickly summarize what we've gone through there. The introduction of the new curriculum offers exciting opportunities for developing student employability skills and knowledge about careers and businesses within subjects and areas of learning. Okay, I hope I've managed to put over the why in why develop, why promote, and why encourage young people into STEM careers, and the why here and the why now. There's a proven need to develop employability skills in North Wales, with the growth sectors showing the need, and the new growth deal offering employment opportunities to our young people who have gained these skills. Now, before we move on to section 2, are there any questions about this first section? Is there anything in the chat, David, at all?
I'll unmute, sorry. Yeah, I think there is, there's some points coming up in the chat, but I think just looking at the time here, I think it'd be better for us to maybe just move on, and I'm continuing to answer the chat as we go along. So if you want to move on to the how, and then I'll take a pause after this, and then we'll okay. Come back.
Okay, as David suggests, then let's move on to the next layer of this onion, okay, or the golden circle for how. How can we develop, how can we promote, and how can we encourage young people into STEM subjects, courses and careers? How can we improve young people's employability skills and match the skills gap? And how can we attract more girls into STEM careers? We need to have a common approach for doing this that needs to be easy to implement, and it shouldn't burden teachers or add to their workload. Any framework or approach for promoting STEM in schools would need to support the requirements of the new curriculum for Wales and the new Estin inspection criteria from 2022. It should suggest methods or pathways that schools could use to improve student employability skills. It should support increased engagement with employers and education business links. It should support teachers in signposting STEM careers and courses, and it should promote equitable access to STEM jobs to all groups of learners. With that in mind, I'd like to show you a possible STEM development framework which I believe meets these criteria. Okay. Now, in September this year, I attended an ASC, Association for Science Education, online meeting where the Institute for Research and Innovation in Schools, or IRIS as it's called, made a presentation outlining their new STEM research and innovation framework, which is due to be published very shortly. I really like it. It's really easy to understand and follow, and I think it could be incredibly effective if we adopted it in our schools. The framework's building on 4 aspects or pillars. According to IRIS, that they've developed it using a combination of the best practice gathered from research in schools and from the science charities working in education. It's aiming to support school leaders in developing an effective whole school STEM strategy within their school. And it's a reflective tool for teachers. It can support them in their lesson planning, and it can help to improve outcomes for students. Now, many of you are aware of the science capital teaching approach developed by University College London. This framework actively promotes science capital as part of one of its pillars, and it could help grow pupil science capital through increasing the relevance of the work taught, which again in turn has been shown to improve GCSE results. The framework also has got a pillar that can also help to address the gender balance and narrow the UK STEM skills gap. So what's very good about this framework though is that every single pillar supports the Cure aspect of the new curriculum for Wales, and every single pillar supports the Estin guidance for school inspections from 2022. So it's important that I mention at this point here that the IRIS framework has not been published yet. They've had so much interest in it from schools, and it was due to be published last month in November, but it's been delayed until the new year. As Iris told me last week, that their consultation process with stakeholders is taking far longer than expected, and they want to get it right. What I'm going to show you now, though, is based on their presentation in September, and it might slightly change as a result of the feedback to Iris, but these changes, I believe, will be small and incremental. Iris are incredibly keen to work on developing STEM in Wales. They've got huge participation from schools in England, Ireland and Scotland, but not a single school in Wales. I'm hoping that this will change as a result of this. Okay, so I mentioned that the IRIS framework has got 4 aspects or pillars, and these are, firstly, pillar 1, enhance or enrich the STEM curriculum. Pillar 2, signpost the future. Pillar 3, capture talent by removing barriers. Pillar 4, develop and work with your STEM community. And just by the names, you can see what they're all about. Okay, now one of the pillars is about leveling up. One of them's about reducing STEM gender imbalance. One of them's discussing careers information. One's about educational business engagement links. One of the pillars about adding extracurricular STEM activities. So let's have a closer and more detailed look at each of these pillars and what each individual pillar supports. Okay. Pillar 1 of the framework is all about enhancing or enriching the STEM curriculum. The IRIS strapline or column descriptor is shown now. Okay. Provide authentic experiences for students that lead to the development of, well, you can read it, guys, you can read it, okay. It aims to support the development of student employability skills, knowledge and behaviours. In a school, you could implement this through well-planned class activities, practical work and organised extracurricular activities. It could be realised in the school by carrying out investigations, research, STEM projects, taking part in competitions and challenges, STEM themes and takeover days. And in doing this, you could be supported by all of those STEM agencies listed here and the STEM support guide, which I'll talk about later on. Just take a minute to have a little look at the version Cymraeg. Os na unrhyw cwestiwn o gwbl? Any questions so far at all? David, is there any question o gwbl?
Yeah, there's some points, and I'm trying to answer some of them, but they're very interesting, and I think some of them we can certainly pick up in some of the other sessions that we're going to have in future. And I think there's some value in some of these points in terms of equality and equity of opportunity. And I think I know here there is some reference that you're going to be making in some of the other sessions to these, so I don't want to take up too much time just in addressing individual, because clearly, just before you start back, clearly this we'll share these with you, and there is an opportunity in terms of some feedback in what you think should happen and the direction we should go. And I know there's some interesting points about equality and how we approach and what people perceive to be priorities. So there's lots of opportunity. There will be plenty of opportunity to discuss that, and for people to discuss their ideas as well as how they are sort of overcoming maybe what they see as the priorities maybe within their organisations and their schools, their colleges. So I'll let you get on. No, sorry.
Diolch, David. I said earlier, that each pillar supported the new curriculum for Wales and the new Estin school inspection guidance from 2022. And I need to prove that to you. So enhancing the STEM curriculum is all about development of employability skills by giving students authentic experiences via extracurricular STEM activities, research, practical work, challenges and competitions. Now have a little look at the Estin inspection guidance from 2022. And similarly, it's all about how the school provides authentic and engaging learning experiences to enrich the curriculum and develop STEM knowledge and skills. Looking at the CURE guidance from the new curriculum, and that's about developing the integral skills, which are also the employability skills. So Pillar 1 supports the new curriculum. It's all about developing knowledge and skills by providing extracurricular and authentic classroom activities. And also, if you remember back to the second regional skills partnership priority, develop employability skills, Pillar 1 also supports this priority. Estin will evaluate what the school offers its students, so it might be an idea to keep a simple log or portfolio of what's been run to show them if they ask for it. Now, following version Cymraeg of this slide, we'll move on to Pillar 2. Any questions about this pillar? On to Pillar 2. Pillar 2 is called Signpost the Future. It's all to do with STEM career signposting. The Irish strapline to go with this title is this. Just let you read that. This column involves providing pupils with careers information to allow them to make more informed decisions. This is what STEM Gogledd's been doing for the last 3 years. However, in that time, because of the size of the project, we've only managed to reach a fraction of the students in these schools, about 10% of each year, from year 9, 10 and 11. STEM career signposting needs to reach far more students, and this framework could help do that. So Pillar 2 of the framework can be implemented in a school by teachers embedding careers into curriculum learning. It could be realised by career signposting within the taught curriculum. So if you're teaching about sound in science, you could relate it to how sound is used in hospitals and the relevant jobs such as audiologists and ultrasound specialists carrying out prenatal scanning and imaging. It could also be realised through work experience or by using previous pupils as alumni, as influencers to come in and talk to your students about their courses and their work. Pupils should have the opportunities to attend careers and higher education fairs. They need to explore the Career Wales and similar websites to discover apprenticeship information, and students should be encouraged to keep a personal careers diary where they can record any job searches they carry out or log work experiences they've had. And you can find help to do this from the published guidance in the CURE element of the Curriculum for Wales and from the Careers Wales Education Business Engagement Initiative. We've also got information for students in the STEM Gogledd website and guide. Okay, just pause to have a look at the version Cymraeg. So how does Pillar 2 support Estin inspection criteria and the new curriculum? Look at the highlighted section. The framework discusses providing effective and embedded careers information to allow students to realise pathways and opportunities so that they can make more informed decisions about the courses they're taking and the work that they're applying for. Estin in Inspection Area 3 will consider how well the school provides learning experiences that inspire their pupils and raise their aspirations around future careers and the world of work, helping them to make informed choices. In Inspection Area 4, Estin will evaluate how well the school provides effective, impartial guidance and advice to learners, for example, relating to future career choices. The Cure guidance from the new curriculum asks schools and teachers to embed careers and work-related experiences authentically across learning and mentions that learning should include career pathways. So not only does Pillar 2 of this proposed framework support schools to meet Estin criteria and help them develop the new curriculum, it also supports the Regional Skills Partnership Priority 3, which was promoting career perceptions and pathways. So any questions about Pillar 2?
Hugh, I think there are a couple of points just coming up in the chat here. That again, I think we'll be able to pick up lots of these and maybe have more discussion around these if that's what what you're keen to do. And I think we've got to respond to that in terms of Emma's asked, what sort of evidence do you think Estin will be looking for when it comes to STEM clubs and activities, etc. And also a point from Martin Rugenhanke about that Estin will be first looking to see that within lessons, pupils are getting the experiences they deserve within the school day, not necessarily extracurricular. And that is a brilliant point, because I think going forward that extracurricular will become a term that's used less and less, because it'll be part of the curriculum, not extra as a bolt-on. So, but again, it's a brilliant point, and I think there is lots of discussion around how that happens. And I know within the pillars and the discussions that Hugh has planned over the next sessions, there will be an opportunity, and there will be opportunities for people with a particular interest in that pillar to talk about that. So brilliant. Thanks for the points.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, so moving on to Pillar 3. Okay, Pillar 3 is titled Capturing Talent by Removing Barriers. And this is all about breaking down barriers to encourage greater participation in STEM from all groups of learners, some of whom may have thought that previously that certain STEM subjects or careers weren't for them. It's also introducing the idea of developing science capital. In a school, this pillar could be implemented by taking positive steps to address the gender imbalance and making STEM subjects more relatable by providing positive STEM role models for girls, such as women engineers coming to talk to groups of girls, taking part in the Girls into STEM programs offered by ESW and Technocamps. Using the science capital teaching approach helps teachers making science teaching relatable and relevant to learners by creating connections to a learner's sphere of understanding. This has been shown to raise attainment in science through promoting interest in a greater number of participants.
Hugh, can I come in there quickly? Because I think this quickly relates back to James's point earlier about, why we're spending more time or seem to be more time, all the efforts going into to girls. And I know you mentioned it there, but obviously clearly science capital is about people understanding the opportunities for them, not just based on their gender, but on lots of other issues as well, including, race, social mobility, lots of other things that we can look at. And I know Keith is here, but the IOP have got their Limit Less campaign, which is a brilliant example of where they're moving away from just focusing on gender and moving on to look at other things. So maybe that's something again for people to look at or look into potentially. Okay,
thanks. I take James's point though, but it's certain parts of STEM careers, isn't it, James?
It is indeed.
Okay, so Pillar 3 also supports Estin inspection criteria in Area 4 and the curriculum for Wales. I'm just going to click a couple of times here, okay, so you can just see how. Okay, Now, if you have a quick look through those, I think you'll spot that the words challenging stereotypes is quite obvious in all three columns there. And you can see that they're essentially saying the same thing. So if we can put together or build pillar 3, capturing talent by removing barriers, it's all about encouraging greater participation in STEM from all groups of learners. In your school, the pillar can be built by taking positive steps to encourage in wider participation through the use of alumni, role models, by being aware of pupil misconceptions and gender stereotyping in STEM subjects and careers. Teachers might also choose to adopt a science capital teaching approach to make STEM more relevant to all groups of learners. More about science capital in a later webinar. Okay, so that was about pillar 3. I think we've had some of the questions for that. So I'll just move on to pillar 4 because I can see time is moving on. Okay, final pillar of the framework is called Develop Your STEM Community. The Irish strapline for this column is all about schools working with employers and the wider education community to offer opportunities to young people that might not be available in schools. In a school, this could be implemented by developing education business links and links with colleges and universities, and by re-establishing a work experience programme. It could be realised by using the new Careers Wales Education Business Engagement Tool. I'll be talking more about that in another webinar. It can also be realised by asking STEM ambassadors from industry to talk to your learners. There might be opportunities to visit businesses and higher education providers to see the type of work that they're doing. Pupils might take part in projects sponsored and supported by employers. Schools might also restart their work experience programme, which I was talking about previously, which hasn't been offered by schools because of insurance difficulties and things for the last couple of years, but now looks to be positively encouraged by the Welsh Government and the core elements of the new curriculum. Schools could be supported by a whole range of agencies and schemes and providers, some of which are listed here. For example, Careers Wales, ESW, STEM Gogledd, C Science. If you haven't used C Science before, I can really recommend them. They're fantastic at organising STEM ambassadors. You can also get support as well from colleges and universities and the growth sector companies, which we'll talk about again later on. So, and Cymraeg. So how does Pillar 4 support Estin inspection criteria and the curriculum for Wales? I'm just going to click around a bit so you can see those. Estin is going to be looking at how well the school provides authentic and engaging learning experiences in inspection area 3. The Cure guidance, the new curriculum, asks schools and teachers to provide learners with meaningful experiences and opportunities to engage with employers and different workplaces. By working with industry, employers and further education providers, such as schools, can meet these requirements. Right, that was Pillar 4. You've had a very quick first glance, really, at lightning speed at the 4-pillar strategy for developing STEM in schools. What do you think? Let's combine them again. Okay. Here they are all together, pillars supporting the roof, which is the Irish STEM framework. As I said earlier, I really like it as each pillar allows positive steps to be taken to improve outcomes. And the 4 taken together could allow the creation of a STEM development plan in schools. I like it because it could be developed into a STEM route or roadmap, suggesting and showing directions of travel. Every pillar could be quantifiable if it needed to be. Not everything needs to be quantifiable, but this, if it needed to be, could be. For Estin inspection, I would suggest that some records should be kept, particularly of engagement with external agencies such as ESW and Technocamps. Using this 4-pillar approach could allow a school's STEM structure to look something like this. Okay, now starting at the top or the 12 o'clock position, a school management engaging with this framework could possibly have a STEM lead and possibly a development committee for organising STEM in the school. Committee could liaise with external STEM providers. Committee could organise STEM skills days or takeover days or STEM themed weeks. They could support the Girls into STEM programme and investigate or research other ways to tackle the STEM gender imbalance that could be rolled out across the school. They could organise certificates and awards and promote STEM engagement as good news stories to the papers and press, local press. Remember, good publicity is always welcomed by schools that might be looking to attract learners. The committee could support STEM clubs, organise careers fairs at the school and visits to STEM departments and universities and colleges. On to teachers. Teachers will hopefully have had some CPD training from Careers Wales on developing Cwrei in the curriculum for Wales. They'll be starting to talk about careers linked to their teaching, and we'll be embedding careers information into their schemes of work. They'll be able to use the Careers Wales Education Business Engagement tool to organise visits to industry and visits from STEM ambassadors. C-Science can also help them with organising STEM ambassadors. So I've put some guidance together on how to do this in the STEM guide for schools in the North Wales area. Okay. This support guide is an absolute beast of a book. Okay, several of you here today who are listening to me now have already QA'd it for me, and it's a lot. It's about 130 pages. I'm really grateful for your help in doing this. It's a STEM reference guide, and it's 132 pages or so crammed full of useful information about companies, STEM agencies, contacts, web links, activities. Its two main aims are to, firstly, provide STEM teachers with guidance on STEM extracurricular activities, along with examples of good practice from schools all across the North Wales region. Secondly, to provide the school management team with guidance that could support the creation of a STEM development plan for the whole school. I wrote the book last year before I'd seen the IRIS presentation, so I adapted the guide to support it. Everything fell into this 4-pillar framework really nicely. Okay. Anyway, moving on. This slide shows the contents of the STEM guide. Okay, it's split into the 4 pillars or aspects. Enhancing the STEM curriculum is in the blue part there. Amber part there, signposting the future. Green, light green, capturing talent by removing barriers, and the pink, develop your STEM community there. And then the yellow is the appendices. Okay, I got sorry, slide shows the contents of the STEM guide. Okay, it's got information about how to run STEM clubs, list of agencies such as technocamps, how to contact them, phone numbers, web links, etc. It's got detailed instructions about how to use the new Careers Wales EBE Education Business Engagement tool to search out employers and STEM ambassadors. Chapter 12, God, there's 12 chapters in it. Yeah, it contains a large amount of company contact information for schools as a go-to reference linked to the 8 growth sectors and matched to the new curriculum AOLEs. And this is to help teachers developing their Cwrei practice. Also, the appendices contain a STEM audit tool which could be used for providing an overview, say to Estin, if it was to Estin or so, of the school STEM activities. Teachers could possibly adapt or complete this guide to create a personal STEM guide for their school and their teachers. And that's just a thought. Okay, so in this next part, part 4, we're going to have a quick look at external support for STEM development from agencies such as ESW, Technocamps, STEM Gogledd and GWER. We'll also let you know about future meetings, look at the next steps, and I'll take questions about the framework. Finally, if we've got any time left, we'll discuss future opportunities to network and share good practice and expertise. We want your great ideas, okay? We want to know what works well. We want to hear about your STEM activities that you may be running that really do contribute to raising standards and developing employability skills. And that's cross-curricular and integral skills for our young people. Okay, so support is available for STEM from all of these organisations. You've probably seen most of these logos before. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, STEM Gogledd is a STEM careers support initiative, and our mentors can help you with organising employer fairs or employers to come in and talk to your pupils. Careers Wales will be offering support and training to teachers next year. It may be slow getting round to you because there's not that many of them, and there's 54 schools. Well, there's more if you can consider the primary schools as well, but they will be there to help you developing Cwrei and in your schemes of work. They've got a brand new online education business engagement tool that I've mentioned several times in this presentation that will allow teachers to book visits to industry and businesses, and then to request speakers to come and speak to their pupils about the world of work. They're also going to be starting an online careers plan for students. Technocounts and ESW, most of you probably will have used these, and they can support with the computational what matters statement. ESW can also support the design thinking and engineering section. There's also the Royal Academy of Engineering, and in the Northwest, this is organised by Neil Humphreys and Ysgol Brynelion. Both ESW and RAE, the Royal Academy of Engineers, have some exciting bits of kit out at the moment. The programmable greenhouse and the data hive. I don't know if you've actually signed up with him to get copies of those. There's about 15 sets available for a class set available. Both will allow data to be collected from external sensors and processed, and logic operations applied using coding to operate actuators. The GWER digital team, Hole and Guion, they're currently getting the loan kits out to primary schools that will allow computational thinking to be developed up to progression step 3. The kit will come with online support and ideas. All About STEM has a monthly roundup of STEM challenges and competitions from across the UK. I do send those out to you, but it'd be really good if you did register with them so you can get them directly to yourself. C Science got a massive database of STEM ambassadors who can give talks to students. And STEM Learning, based in York, is the prime UK source of STEM information and support ideas. So it'd be a good idea to check out their website if you haven't already done so, and I'm sure you have done so.
Well, Hugh, I'm just coming in, just at doing my job as a chair. Okay, sir. And just thinking we're coming up to 5, and I know you're coming to the end on this now, because and I think for people who are with us, just to remember, this isn't a one. This is a one hit. This
I've
afternoon.
got about another minute, David. Another minute to go, I reckon.
Brilliant.
Okay. Contact details are there. Details of the next meetings. Okay, future meetings. Next meeting is all about building Pillar 1, enhancing the STEM curriculum. That's on the 10th of February. The meeting after that, 31st of March. Meeting after that, 19th of May, 30th of June, 2022. We've run out of time to do these breakouts today. We will be doing them in the future because this has been a long meeting and I've gabbled on for ages and ages and ages. I know that, but I have to put the whole thing over to you, and then we'll take it bit by bit, pillar by pillar afterwards.
Gwych. Hugh, I'm just gonna explain here, because I know you're putting the screen up there now. Is what's going to happen at the end after this meeting is we're going to share these slides with you all. So clear, it's very difficult to digest everything and to sort of get to understand everything in the short space of time. And anodd iawn I ni allu condensio bob dim I mewn, ond fel nath Hugh esbonio, as Hugh explained, this is the start. Hopefully, and I'm really sort of encouraged to see some of the points coming up in the chat. I think that's a great point for discussion and how we do things and what we do, because unless people tell us that whether we're doing the right things or not, or the wrong things, well, we won't develop. And I sort of I'm just going to refer to Martin Rugenhanke's point, another point Martin made about the assistants and how teachers aren't going to have time to do all this. Clearly not, but that's why we're working on how this can be supported in the longer term, externally, and the support being given to schools. So this is just the start. So really appreciate your time today. As I said, I will send out the slides, and there was also a survey that's here, a short survey, some feedback on not just what you thought of what you've heard from Hugh today, but in terms of what you'd like in the 4 sessions that are coming up, because they are entirely moldable to what you as participants want. Because I'm sure as teachers, you're told often enough that you've got to do this is what you need to do, and you'll do it this way, right? From our perspective, this is your opportunity to tell us, can we help you? How can we help you? What are the issues that you're facing in relation to this? And I know I'm married to a school teacher, so I know that's sometimes a difficult thing to do very often. offer the opportunity to sort of get your point over. But it is really important that you tell us what you want to do. What are we doing right? What are we not doing enough of? What are we doing too much of? You know, that's how we can, and you know, and I say we in the royal we, not just STEM Gogledd, but we're working with all the local authorities. We're working with the Regional Skills Partnership in North Wales. We're working with Ambition North Wales and the you know, and the work they're doing in terms of a growth field. So it all fits into a really big picture of which teachers, schools, STEM is a really big part of. So I really appreciate your time today, and hopefully we'll see you in some of the further sessions we're going to hold. A dwi mond isio diolch I Hugh am ei waith. Mae Hugh and he said at the beginning he's nervous and he's not a comfortable presenter. He openly admits that, but
no, I'm
Hugh,
not.
There's lots to get across, and as I said, it's very difficult to get it all over within an hour or a little bit less than an hour. So diolch I Hugh, diolch I pawb sydd wedi ymuno heddiw. We'll keep in touch. You're stuck now. I've got all your contact details now, so you're not getting away. So I will send out further information, and then please just keep in touch. You know, I'm one of those people, I value any comments, you know, constructively, be they, you know, positive, negative, as you know, every comment is constructive as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, so great. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd am eich amser.